Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Fabulites. I got questions for you. What opens with the end of a love story? And what closes with the end of a love story? If you guess Fear the Walking Dead Season 3, Episode 5, Burning in Water, Drowning in Flames, then you're correct. Thank you for clicking and sticking around for my review recap of this episode. Let's jump right in. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. You can comment throughout the video. I love comments. The more, the merrier. So let's go. Let's see how we got from opening to closing. So we see the older couple that we saw in, I think an episode or 2 episodes ago. Martha and Russell, we saw them dancing on the porch, and somebody was watching them. Maybe Nick, I don't know. Was it Nick? It was Nick. I think it was Nick. Because then he went on a boar hunt. Remember? The man wakes up in bed. He lights a lantern. He sees that his wife is out of bed. He asks, "Are you all right?" She turns around and she has turned. How? I ask, how? He holds out his arms to her. She comes. He dances with her. As she bites him, he dances over to his gun. He gets a bullet. You know, they dance in cheek to cheek. So he gets a gun and he shoots a bullet through his head, which goes through her head because they cheek to cheek. And then they fall down in death together. The lantern falls and a fire starts. And I realized later on that she must have died of natural causes overnight. Or, you know, she died, you know, in her sleep or whatever. And then she turned because the virus is in the air and she got the virus and she became a zombie, a walking dead, you know. So, rest in peace. So, and they were together. So then the Clark crew is awakened by yelling and the firelight, and the Jolly Ranchers are fighting and watching the fire at Martha and Russell's place. And someone is like, "We need more water." And a little girl is like, "Martha and Russell are dead now, aren't they?" And then the old man Otto comes and he's like, "Stop, let it burn. They're already dead. Save the water." Then we see Mama Maddie. She's preparing to leave because remember she had volunteered to go on this mission to see what was up with this group that they couldn't get in touch with. Maybe the, something happened with one of the groups and they went to check on them, an outpost or something like that. Or they, but she volunteered to go and be part of this group to check on, go out into the big bad world with the walkers and the unknowns. And, she a warrior. And this bearded guy is like, you scared? It's all right to be scared. You're a fool to not be scared. I know the terrain. I'm a big, man, but you should be scared. And Mama Maddie is like, I survived before here. I'm good. And then Mama and the kids, and, they like, "Don't go." And the little boy is like, "Nick, I should go." He's not a little boy, but, I should go. And the mom is like, "You stay here and make sure Luciana feels safe." And then the guy is about to get in the front seat with baby boy Troy, mama boy. I should call him mama boy Troy, but I already got locked in as baby boy Troy. But, at the end of the episode, she called him a mama's boy. But I've been calling him baby boy because I was really trying to DL call him a mama's boy. But anyway, with baby boy Troy, and baby boy Troy is like, "No, ladies in the front." And then the guy holds the door for Mama Maddie. I'm like, "Get him, baby boy. Show them how to treat your mama. Don't be letting them treat her any old kind of disrespectful way. Leave that to you, right?" Okay. And then the truck convoy drives off. The 2-truck convoy drives off. And then we see Alicia and Jake interacting at breakfast. And then Gretchen, Jake walks off because I think Alicia might have cut him off or whatever. And Gretchen is like, "Well, he's doing well considering, the man and the woman, the man who died in the fire was one of the founding 4. And then Maddie's son, Nick, is bringing Luciana food, and they amazed that it's real butter. And, they got a nice little thing going there. So they're enjoying the spoils of their labor or whatever. And then Lucy said, they talking about the couple, and she's like, it's sad, but it's beautiful. They were together to the end. And, you know, speaking of the end, it's time for us to go. I am ready, and I can't stay here. I know people in Tijuana and in Mexicali probably hiding in the Prohibition tunnels. You afraid to leave your family? No? You promise you'll come with me? And Nick says, I promise. Okay, so then we see a car on the road and some walkers walking by maybe about 20 feet or 40 feet ahead. And it's Victor and Daniel. And they're kind of arguing as the walkers go by. But see, it's not really an argument because Victorious Victor Strand, he don't have a gun. And Daniel Salazar, he has a gun. And Victor is like, we should wait till the walkers go by. And Daniel was like, we should just drive through the walkers. And Victor is like, but I don't want to mess up my car. And, you know, I'm surprised you left Lola at the water station, you know, by yourself. I'm surprised you left Lola at the water station all unprotected and exposed. And, you know, basically Victor is trying to stall and prep Daniel for failure, maybe not being at the hotel. You know, he is slick talker. So he trying to, you know, kind of get into the conversation and get around to plant the seeds in the head so it's not no big shock or surprise. Daniel is basically calling Victorious Victor's bluff. Like, oh, you say she at the hotel? Well, we gonna go to the hotel and then we'll see what you say when we get there. So he's moving things along at gunpoint. And then he's basically like, you know, drive. You said she was there at the hotel. If she did leave, then Madison and Alicia would tell us where she went. Oh, apocalypse, smocalypse. I don't want to hear none of that mess. They are flying down this street. Some of these people... This is a side street. So then we see Alicia, she walking up the stairs to the oldest son, Jake's space. He's studying. She's trying to pick up on the conversation that she kind of rudely cut off at breakfast. And she kind of rambling about normality and plans. And, you know, Jake is like, are you all right? And Alicia rushes into his arms and kisses him. Jake. And then we see the 2-truck convoy. It sees some walkers on the side of the road, and mama boy, you know, baby boy, Troy, he's all excited. He liked to fight and, you know, kill things and fuck shit up. And he's crazy behind. And so he's having a debate with his colleague about stopping and killing them to prevent them from migrating to the ranch. That's what baby boy Troy says. And then the other guy is like, well, we need to stay on track since our time is limited. That's what his colleague is saying to him. And Mama Maddie tells baby boy Troy, I'm with you. And then, so the convoy stops. And Maddie is prepping her gun. And baby boy Troy is like, that's too loud. And then he gives her like a hatchet axe type thing. And then it's a Department of Corrections bus, and they fight the walkers, and Maddie almost gets got, but the colleague shoots an arrow into the head of one of the 2 walkers that's attacked her. But Maddie has proven herself, and I think that's why the colleague says, I take back what I said. And then crazy baby boy is pumped. His adrenaline is high. He, you know, woo, how long was that? It was a minute. We did a good job in a minute. I said it would be less than 5 minutes. Woo, we just out here killing walkers. We killing the dead. We out here doing the thing. And then Alicia and Jake finish doing the do. Because while they was out there doing the thing, they was in there doing the do. And she says she sees that he reads poetry, and she declines the book that he offers, which is where the title of the episode comes from. Burning in water, drowning in fire, whatever. I'm not familiar with the work. And she says she used to love poetry and art and beauty and all of that kind of stuff, but what's the point now? What's the point now? And when she said that, I thought she looked really like old. Like she's one of those, just like I could see the older woman in her, and I could see like the defeat in her. Like I think the actress really captured, you know, that moment to me. And then we see Nick at the burned home, and he's looking at the charred picture. And then the old man, Otto, walks up on him cleaning up. And he says, you know, and Nick apologizes. And Otto is like, what you apologizing for? We all work together here. You're part of that now. This was my home. It was the first building on the property. It's been here for centuries before, the Spanish and the red man and, whatever. But it was too humble for his second wife. And he finds the gun and the charred stuff. And he says, oh, this is beautiful. It's a work of art. And Nick is like, that's a contradiction. A gun is not beautiful. Is that what you taught your boy Troy? And then the old man Otto is like, well, Troy is trying to understand himself. Do you know who you are? And Nick is like, I know I'm not like your boy Troy. And then old man Otto is like, Russell was here for me when no one else was. When my soul had left the world, everyone else knows. You know how that is, right? And Nick is like, yeah. And then the old man Otto is like, you're going to need my help to do this right. And it's kind of like a double entendre, like to do this right, like to clean up this house right, but also to live in this world and survive here. Like he's kind of mentoring him and connecting with him because they both have struggled with, substance abuse, and not like the actual issue. The issue of like abusing the substance is actually just a sign of something deeper going on. So, they're connecting on that deeper level. And then we see the 2-truck convoy gets to the site of, where they were trying to get to, and there's nothing there. And Maddie's like, it's been hauled away. And someone is like, to where? And then someone else picks up a shell casing or whatever, and they're like 23 caliber. And, they determine that there was a gunfight. The group determines that the survivors are at the outpost. So they're going after the killers of Phil and Charlie, and then Maddie says, and Travis. And then we see Troy and Maddie in the car. And they got, blood splattered on their neck and part of their face. And Maddie is kind of feeling away. Not at all exuberant like Troy is. Troy is like hype. And baby boy Troy is advising Mama Maddie to toughen up and get some fight in you. It's not, don't grieve, get revenge. And Maddie is like, this is a game for you? Take a moment for grief. What if something happened to your dad? What about your mommy? Did you grieve her? And Troy is like, Otto is immortal. And there's no sense grieving. An eye for an eye. It's not a game. It's my calling. And then we see Strand and Daniel. And Strand is like, well, how did you escape the fire? And Daniel's like, I don't know. Maybe the devil saved me. Maybe so I could be here with you, you old evil ass. That's what he really trying to say. Why'd you leave the hotel? And Strand is like, you want to kill me? Go ahead. Because it's all this like subtext and undercover. It's like a tense situation. And then we see Otto and Nick at the burnt house. And Otto is like, you're not bad at this. And Nick is like, my dad taught me. And Otto is seeing Nick looking at Lucy. And Otto says, she's okay. And Nick is like, she thinks the monsters in here are worse than the ones outside. And Otto is like, then she should go. And Nick is like, it's us, the living, against the dead, right? Now that's what's going on. And Otto is like, shoot, I wish it was that simple. I wish that was true. We regress in a crisis to our own. And Nick is like, what? So Lucy should go because she's brown? And Otto is like, Lucy should go because she can't get right with what happened. Can you get right with what happened? And Otto tells Troy, Otto tells Nick about Troy when he was like 5 or 6 years old, and he used to have crying fits, and the crying fits led his crazy ass, drunk ass mother to lock him in the basement one day, so she wouldn't have to hear him cry or whatever. And then he was forgotten until somebody said, well, where's Troy at? And then, Otto says that he ran to the basement and that the baby boy was just standing there and that he wasn't mad, and that Troy kept apologizing. I'm sorry. They family situation is some serious, deep-seated, is some jacked up stuff going on with this family. I thought that story like really kind of got at something deeply unsettling. And Otto said that still didn't stop him from drinking, and he says to Nick, your mama wants to stay and your lady wants to go. What do you want? Huh? What do you want? And then old man Otto stands and, he lets us know that he quit drinking because he damn near shot off his dick while he was drunk. Okay, so then the 2-truck convoy arrives, guns drawn at the outpost, and they're exploring, and they're like gun splattered you know, different gun splatterings around where people were shot. And then someone is like, what's that smell? And then we see it's a pile of like 5 or 10 dead bodies, and they're smoldering and still recognizable. And then we see a man, Phil, with a bird on his shoulder. He's like sitting off in the distance. And, you know, he's reciting poetry or literature, but it's clear that he's kind of alive, but he's like, part of the bird is sitting on his shoulder eating his brain. So it's like what's left of his, he's basically like a vegetable, but the part of his brain that can speak is still speaking, but it's like it's not really coherent, or it's not to them. It's like his brain is in a loop. It's very disturbing. One of the men throws up. Maddie gets a knife from somebody's you know, belt, and she stabs the man's exposed brain to kill him. And she's like, we need to go. And then a mystery man comes up from behind, and he's like, but you only just got here. We defended our land. They showed us barbarism many more times over. And Troy is like, you know you're dead now. And then Maddie is like, give the order to disarm. And Troy is like, then the mystery man is like, oh, the woman sees what you missed on your way in. You're surrounded. And then Troy is like, you know, disarm, disarm. And then the mystery man is like, we're going to take your guns, your vehicles, your supplies, and your boots. Take them off now and tell your people it's time for justice. The land you live on needs to be returned, the ranch and all of this. And then Troy is like, it's not going to happen. We sacrifice. And the mystery man is like, I know what's been sacrificed, boy. And then Maddie is like, you know, we need water. Give us water if you want your message delivered. And the mystery man is like, you bought into a lost cause. And Maddie is like, you took someone of mine. It became my cause when you shot down the helicopter. Then we see Alicia. Her eyes are open. She's lying down. There's a knock at the door. Jake takes her to the water. And he's like, you know, this ranch was established as a refuge for democracy's end. But this is worse than my dad imagined. And Alicia is like, blah, blah. I don't know what that means. Worse than anyone imagined. And then Jake is my battery is low. I'm gonna turn the car on.
Phone or Android, whichever one, just download the app.
Hey, hold on 1 second.
Say you're fired.
There's so much going on. There's so much going on. Now I feel like I gotta hold this here. She says, Alicia says, it's worse than anyone imagined. And then Jake is like, you know, you have to look for light. That's what art is. And Alicia's like, we need guns and food and water. Don't nobody need no art or no light. And Jake is like, you sound like my dad. And my dad, you know, he said every spot on this earth has been taken, and we are not the first ones who stole land, but we got to defend it, and, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then Strand and Daniel get to the hotel, and Strand is like, no good. There's no gate, no guard. This is no good. And Danny boy is like, drive on in here. And then, you know, he like, if Ophelia here, she really needs us. And then Daniel gets out of the car, and he goes into the space, and there's blood all over, and it's dark. And Victorious Victor says, we should wait until daylight. And then Daniel is ringing the bell, attracting the walkers. And he's like, where is she? And Strand is like, he holding a gun to him as the walkers kind of come up from behind them. And Strand is like, she left us for dead. She took the truck. She could be anywhere. And Daniel says, as the roaches or as the walkers approach Strand, let's see how you get out of this one. And then Daniel drives off as Victor is left with a gazillion walkers. And then we see Nick bringing Luciana to the house of the dead couple, and he's got like a candlelight, starlight, you know, like a blanket laid out and food and candles, and, you know, it's like a romantic, you know, setting. And then Nick tells the romance story of the dead couple, and he says that he learned it from Otto, and Luciana kind of looks at him a certain kind of way. Then we see the truckless convoy hobbling along. They tired and tow up. And Maddie is like, you should stop. Leading is knowing when to stop. Let them follow you out of respect, not fear. And Troy, after some back and forth, he's like, be ready at the first light, or I'm going to leave your ass for the wasted. I guess that's what they call the walkers. And then Maddie wakes up with Troy on top of her with a knife to her throat. And she's like, Troy, you're better than this. And then Troy leaves. And then there's a man, one of the men, the 5 men is watching the whole encounter. Not the bearded one, but another one. I don't know his name. And then Nick wakes up to a Dear Nick letter and no Luciana. And then Alicia is on the edge literally of a precipice. And then we see the truckless convoy hobbling on. And then Alicia jumps into water. I thought she was killing herself. I was like, she been dark. I guess it's a wrap for her. And then, and when she comes out of the water, she seems happy and like, relieved or at peace or whatever. And then Otto brings Nick a gun for his new home, just like Otto had told Nick that he brought to the couple who just died, who lived there before. So I guess Nick is going to stay here and Luciana has gone on. And that's the end of Fear the Walking Dead. Thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, being here. I'm enjoying this year. I'm glad I kind of stuck around. Be you, be fabulous, you. Today is the best day ever. Enjoy it.